having shepherded this project for so long, I would imagine, when you look at the movie now, what are you most pleased by with it?
Wow, that's a lot of things. I mean, I think that, when I look at the movie, I see just an amazing amount of commitment and hard work and dedication that went into making the film. We really made the movie independently, even though it's, our partners at Fox and Regency are releasing the movie and really supporting it and putting it out, on a proper studio release. But we made the movie at an independent scale, and Alan Hughes, worked within. I just looked at the movie and I said, wow, Mark Wahlberg and Alan Hughes really, and Russell Crowe and Catherine Zeta-Jones, everybody came to the table with a lot of hard work and commitment on a budget that is not, your traditional studio budget. So when I see it, I'm just kind of blown away because the quality of the film, is so much more than what we spent, and that's just, kind of a blessing, from the hard work and dedication and endless hours, because, everybody on this movie didn't work your traditional, maybe 10 hours or 12 hours of shooting. They really went beyond just because of the limited budget.
That level of dedication, you must have felt passionate about the material itself, and I'm wondering what it was about this material for Broken City that really spoke to you.
I like thrillers. I like crime thrillers. I've always been attracted to these kinds of movies. Action thrillers, have always kind of struck a chord with me. And, revenge, is always just an emotion that has always, when people are set up and people are double-crossed and, this deep emotion of revenge, which, most of us in our everyday lives, can't act on an emotion of revenge, because we live in a civil society, and we abide by laws and et cetera. But, in a movie, you're able to push those limits, and I always am intrigued by a character that, is trying to do the right thing and just gets put into a circumstance that doesn't allow for that, and he's got to, take things into his own hands to, kind of save himself to a certain degree. And so that's what attracted to me to the story. I just felt the characters were so intriguing. Each character had just a lot of depth. It wasn't when I read the script, I literally was begging to do the movie. I called Mark, who is, one of my closest friends, and I said, what do I got to do? And then I got on the phone with Alan Hughes, and I said, what do I have to do? And next thing I know, we were, scouting locations. So it was a quick process. But I didn't hesitate the minute I read the script.
Well, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the nature of producing. But first of all, I wanted to get a sense of how you got started, because if I read correctly, you originally wanted to be an actor, but you kind of had a change of heart on the set of a John Badham movie.
Yeah, that's going deep. I grew up in Miami as an actor, very young. I just was always a creative kid. I wasn't really an athletically inclined child. My father took me to the football field because I really liked the uniform, and he pulled up and I saw everybody hitting each other, and I started crying and told him to take me home. So that was the degree of my athletic ability, which luckily I had a very good artistic side, and, my parents really nurtured that and supported that. And very young, I started in the theater, probably like 5, like in the kids, theater where you do the puppets and all that stuff. And then, I worked my way up into a conservatory high school, which was a performing arts high school, and on to, which I went to New York then initially on a full acting scholarship. But what had happened is along the way, my love of film really was growing, and we were making student films in high school every single weekend. I was showing them to the students, and I was acting in them and directing and producing with a friend of mine. And it was just kind of like this love of film I became obsessed with, although I didn't really know what a producer was or any of that stuff. I just knew I loved movies, and I loved being on sets. As an actor, like when I was in high school, I did a lot of commercials and stuff, and I just never wanted to leave the process. And moving on to New York, I got a summer job on a John Badham movie called The Hard Way, which they handed me a walkie-talkie, and I was a PA, and I thought, I had arrived. I thought I was, Jerry Bruckheimer. I was locking up traffic of garbage trucks in the middle of the night, and I just thought, this is the coolest thing ever, and I'm never going to go back to acting. Like, I just knew at that point that I needed to be on movie sets, and my love for figuring out what I was going to do behind the scenes was stronger than probably both my love for acting and my ability even. So, I just felt that I just was comfortable there. It was like a weird moment in your life where you just felt, wow, this is where I'm supposed to be. I don't know what I'm going to do. Maybe I'll be a grip, maybe I'll be a gaffer, maybe I'll be a director. I have no idea. But, and at that point I enrolled in film school and went to film school. And I really enjoyed putting it all together. Like, I really just loved every aspect of film so much. I felt, what's the job that I get to do everything or be a part of everything? And that was producing what I fell into. I have a big mouth, and at the same time, I really enjoyed working with every department and learning all the different jobs. And then I started producing short films and thesis films. And when I was a senior, I made my first feature film, which was a small little indie film that we ended up selling for television rights and foreign rights back when I was 22. And then I moved to California and worked as an assistant, both for Mark. I was part of the original Entourage, and I worked at a talent agency and different places. And then I just went out and tried to start raising money to make my own films, which is what I always wanted to do. But that takes a long time. So over the course of 5 or 6 years of being out in Los Angeles, I was able to raise my first.
What are the aspects of a producer's personality that are crucial? I mean, I would think that you would have to be aggressive and yet sincere about your passion for what you're doing.
Well, yeah, I think you're right. I think that hits it on the nail, right on the head. I think that look, every producer, and I know a lot of different producers, have different styles. So everybody has their own kind of personality and style and uniqueness. But what I find in most producers, that common thread is going to be that determination and the determination to take this boulder that is far bigger than you, probably the size of a house, and you're creeping and crawling up this mountain. And when you get 5 feet, somebody's going to come push you back down 3 feet, and then you start pushing again. And I feel that the producers that endure the movies that we are lucky enough to get to see, those producers are able to push that boulder over the top of the mountain, or the house over the top of the mountain. I think that it's you can get disappointed very quickly producing, because we are very passionate people, and we love working with creative, what I call geniuses, actors who are just beyond talented, and writers and directors. And then you feel all this responsibility, at least I do, and I know other producers, friends of mine do, and you take on this responsibility. It's like you take their heart and their soul, and it's your job to make sure that they get to the starting line. And I always say the starting line is day one of shooting. And if you can get them to day one of shooting, then then you get to watch them and their magic and all of it come to life, and then of course in the post-production and et cetera. So you're right. I think that, and then if you ask me my strongest trait, and I have many negative traits like everybody, things I have to work on, weaknesses, but my strongest trait, I just think, is my determination. I just don't understand the word failure. I have failed many, 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 many times. But from those failures, I have learned. Now, I think that my failures are my biggest learning lessons. You know, when we make mistakes, when something doesn't go the way we anticipated, that's when I kind of have learned my best lessons. And as cliche as that might sound, I just feel as a producer, you know, it's the most heartbreaking moments you have, and in those moments, you know, we really learn the most. And you know, and then you just get up and you got egg on your face, and it sucks for a day, but you get up and you start again. So I think determination. When I commit to a movie, I really, really, I just expect that movie to happen and nothing less than that. And so that's kind of it.
But you know, I think about you know, several of the most successful producers out there. I mean, Bruckheimer would be the number one example, and there seems to be a feeling of, oh yeah, this is a Bruckheimer movie. But a producer's job is to kind of facilitate an environment where everyone on the cast and crew can do their best work. I mean, to kind of give them what they need to serve the movie. How do you find that you put a personal stamp on your films?
Well, what I'm trying, you know, I'm growing on a daily basis. You know, we started with much smaller movies, and now we're making these, you know, movies on different budget levels, you know, much bigger than what I had started with. And I think that what I'm trying to put as my calling card, and I was sitting with both Alan and Mark the other day, and they had said to me, what I do differently is I really I feel I allow the filmmaker to have a creative environment without a lot of politics. You know, and I think that I think is a gift for a lot of filmmakers, that they don't get that as much, because on a lot of movies it's by committee. You know, there's a lot of people involved, especially on big studio movies. I mean, these are $200 million, you know, big blockbusters. So I try to create an environment where, you know, I really let the filmmaker do what he needs to do, and I have to trust that. And I you know, and I'm there when he needs me. But, you know, because we're not a very politically driven machine, you know, and we're a smaller, you know, entity, we just kind of really just let the filmmaker and the creatives, you know, make the choices that they want to make, you know. And I think that's a refreshing take when you're, you know, especially when you're making studio release movies on an independent budget, you know. So that's kind of what the environment I try to set up.
So when you've screened this, I know that you've been busy screening this all over. What's been most surprising about audience reaction for you?
You know, they're really excited, and they've been really. I mean, we've been in Chicago and Atlanta, and we're just leaving Philly now to Miami, and I mean, the fans are out there lined up, and they're excited to see Mark and Alan. And after the movie, you know, I hear them, you know, because I've stayed for some of the screenings, and you just, you know, you say it's such a great movie, and it's moving, and it's exciting, and it's, you know, it's just, it's I don't know, I've only heard good things, you know, and maybe you know, but I again, you know, I've only been in a few cities where we screened the movie, so.
But you can feel it in an audience. Friday. I would imagine you can feel it in an audience when you know it's working.
Oh yeah. I mean, when the moments, you know, in a movie are, you know, when somebody's being aggressive with another character in the movie, you can tell the audience is excited, or, you know, he gets what's coming to him, and, you know, it's the payoff and all that stuff through the movie, you know, the different characters doing different things to one another. Yeah, definitely I felt the audience excited. Like you can hear comments, and, you know, definitely all of that stuff was going on. It's a lot of fun. I'll tell you, it's a lot of fun to sit in the theater with people that are excited to see the movie, but you don't know what their reaction is going to be. And as the movie plays, all the things that you already know because you've seen it 152 times, you know, are now all new again because you thought was funny or dramatic or cool, and just you've seen it a million times, now is excited as somebody else. So that gets me really excited because I've been in the different cities and I was like, wow, that's right. I love that. And I forgot how much I loved that moment when I first saw the cut, 3, 5, 6 months ago. So it's cool because, it's like when I have a daughter, it's very similar to when I had my child. I forgot what it was like to be a kid again. I mean, really, I'm a really young kid, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, because you're not thinking about that on a day-to-day basis. I remember my teenage years and high school and all that stuff, but my daughter has brought back all of those memories from riding, big wheels to, all that stuff because, I'm going through it all again with her. And so it's a very similar experience going through the screening process of the movie with a fresh audience. It's just that whole new kind of excitement. So I love it. Like, I love sitting there in every screening and just watching the reactions because I'm like, wow, we were right, or that was fun and all that stuff. So yeah, similar.
I was interested too because you've had obviously, as you said earlier, you've had this long-standing relationship with Mark Wahlberg. And what in your mind does this movie allow him to do that's new and exciting for him?
Wow. I mean, there's so many things. I mean, this character is so conflicted, and I just think that's so, Mark is always, and to not get away from that question, but Mark is always, at least I've been so excited watching him from when we first met, which goes back to Fear, before Fear even came out, before Boogie Nights, and so he is such a smart actor, producer, he's producer on the movie as well, and he chooses material, at least I feel, is always different, always usually really fresh, and a character that he hasn't necessarily been down that road or a different version of it, and it's all, from Ted to The Departed to, you name it, and I just feel that this character is another kind of, notch in his belt along the way where the character is so conflicted and, he's just got so much going on and carrying so much, just carrying so much throughout the story. He's just a very heavy character, and I just think it's exciting to watch him go through all these different, characters. So I think that's what, I think attracted him to this movie is that there's just a lot of depth to this particular guy. There's not, it's not something, you see all the time that he gets to play or chooses to play because he's doing so many different kinds of movies. But, and yeah, I mean, it's been great. I mean, he's been my best friend for 20 years almost, and we never made a movie together. And he's watched my career, come up and been very supportive of me, as I tried to, got into producing and all that. And I've watched him become, this incredible actor. And we always said it's not worth working together unless it's the right movie. And, this came along and it was the right movie. And I just, feel really lucky to have gotten to make a movie with both my best friend, but an incredible actor and producer.
Yeah, he is incredible. And before I let you go, I'm speaking of exciting, great movies. You've got a lot in the pipeline. I mean, I think you've got the Stallone Schwarzenegger movie, The Tomb, and the Denzel with Two Guns, and oh my gosh, and a Peter Berg film. And this is a really exciting time for you. How do you juggle all of those projects? Is it challenging?
Last year I don't remember much because I lived out of a suitcase and in an office, and it was probably the most aggressive year of my life, and probably a year I'll never forget at the same time because it was incredible. I mean, I really was burnt out from doing all the things we did last year, but it was like a moment you get in your life where you get to work with Denzel Washington, Mark Wahlberg, and Arnold and Sly, and you get to work with Pete Berg and that incredible cast. And I just, if the opportunities come along, I can't. I'm one of those guys that, as a kid, looked up to all these actors and directors, and now, I'm getting an opportunity to be their partner and be creative and make great movies with them. And so it's beyond exciting. I can't say anything short of that. I am excited. I am more excited this year to see these films come out and continue, hopefully getting to make more movies, with the caliber of talent that I've been working with. So I'm excited. It's a blessing, and I can't. I feel like I hit the lottery, and the last year I feel has been a milestone for sure in my career, getting to do those kinds of movies that I had been working for, probably, I think we've had our company 15 years almost now. So, it took 15 years, but you know what? It was worth every minute of it.